Welcome back to the Mindfuckery podcast. We're continuing this week with the path of sovereign integration. We've looked at recognizing patterns and grounding, questioning what we were told, rebuilding that intuition that had been turned off, looking at clearing wounds and beginning to peel away the layers. And that's where something shifts. So this week's looking at what happens when that change starts to show up and looking at taking steps that feel safe, because the body has felt so unsafe for most of your life, or that was my experience anyway. This stage I call empowered emergence, and it's at this point where you realise you're not trying to change anymore, you just aren't the same. Welcome to the Mindfuckery podcast. I'm your host Elizabeth, a trauma healer, author and founder of the Inner Healing Sanctuary. The Mindfuckery podcast has been recognised by FeedSpot as one of the top 20 emotional abuse podcasts worldwide and number 3 in the UK for domestic violence. This show has also been featured by Million Podcasts among the best on narcissistic abuse, coercive control and complex trauma. I've walked this path myself. I know the pain, the confusion, the endless questions with no real answers. I've spent over 20 years as a woundologist, creating practices like wound talking and the original wound to help people like yourself clear past life wounds, ancestral trauma, and this life wounding. Here we go deeper, looking for the emotional and ancestral wounds to break the cycles of shame, abandonment, and betrayal, and reclaiming every part of you. Each episode is an invitation to release, repair and return to yourself. And when your whole being whispers, enough of carrying, enough of looping, enough of bypassing, enough of rumination, enough of blaming myself, the next step is simple: a soul alignment call. In this call, I will attune to your field, sense what's alive for you right now, and map out your journey and where it begins. And as always, you are so very, very welcome. This is an Easter edition, although we just finished or coming out of Easter, but I have got a hot cross bun and a nice cup of coffee. As I said, this stage is the empowered emergence, and this is where you're connecting with your blueprint, but taking steps that are empowered, but aren't going to freak the nervous system out. Now, with every stage, and I don't think I've actually pointed this out, is a healing symbol and its own very unique vibration. It's at this stage when you realise that you're not trying to change anymore, that you somehow have stepped into your blueprint and you're allowing that to come through. Now, this might sound a bit woo for some people. The symbol that I created for this, I was feeling a very Mary Magdalene healing vibe, an empowered woman, and that vibration was coming through. And this is why you're at this point where you realise that you're not trying to change anymore. You're being who you authentically have always been, who you were born to be, and you're throwing off this cloak. You're stepping into this blueprint, or this blueprint is awakening within you, and you're emerging. And this is where you're putting on the cloak of sovereignty. It's not an armour anymore. It's not performance or power. And this is where empowerment shows itself in the way that you speak, in the way that you set boundaries, in the way that you hold yourself, the choices you make. And it's not a burst. I've mentioned the elastic band before. When you pull it tightly, when you let go, it snaps back to its original shape. What we're looking for is empowered steps. This is groundedness, and this is being led by your essence of who you truly are. You might find people falling away. You could think of it like having circles or groups of people, and you've got your family or really tight friendships, and then the next layer out, looser friends, looser family members to acquaintances. And it might be that you notice that people are moving from your inner circle. If you think about this on a vibrational level, they're just not resonating. You're vibrating in a different way. And when your sound wave, your vibration meets with their vibration, they're just moving completely differently to a point that they don't balance each other. And that is why people move slightly away from you, or you move slightly away from them. And then you've got other people perhaps in your life that have dictated, who've told you, who've directed. And all of a sudden, as you emerge, that doesn't fit with their vibration, with their story, the way they live. So you might find again that they move out, or you move them out. It might take a few tries at this, again, like the rubber band snapping back, falling into old patterns in the way that you would have behaved and spoken, and perhaps allowed other people to tell you how to live your life. But something inside grows. It's like a small flame, and that flame starts to get bigger, and this passion gets stronger. When I wrote my book, The A to Z of Emotional Abuse, I'm just trying to think now. I think I wrote it part of the way through my divorce. It actually started with a series of YouTube videos, and wanted to launch this YouTube channel. I've been doing some other work, and I was looking for something different to put out. So I thought I'd do some videos. A is for abusive cycles. I can't actually remember what the videos were now. B was for belittling. C was for coercive control. I don't think it was. Anyway, you get the idea. So I start recording some terms. The reason behind it and the reason behind the book was I'd watch a video. I was trying to understand what had happened. I was trying to understand, and I was coming across terms that I didn't understand, so I then have to go and look them up. So if I can't understand, perhaps other people are doing the same thing. So that was the background of it. I also wrote an article which I posted on Thrive Global, and the company that had published my book, Finding Lily, reached out, and the guy sent me a text message saying, I hope this is your new book. That's how I wrote The A to Z. So I sat down and went in deeper, and not only explained what maybe abusive cycles were, what it felt like, how you got trapped in there. Sorry, I've gone off tangent. So when I wrote The A to Z of Emotional Abuse, I put in there a story that I'd heard. So I'd read the book by Debbie Ford, and I can't remember what it was, some Dark Side of the Light Chasers, I think it was that book. And in there she talks about John Welwood's story, The Castle. The castle is an analogy for who we are. And he talks about us being born as castles. We've got all these different rooms, we've got basements and kitchens and ballrooms and attics, everything. And over time, and this is a condensed version, and he says as children, we run around. We explore every single room. We take great delight in doing that. And then over time, people come to us and say, I don't like it when you do this, or I don't like that element of you, or I don't like. It's them not liking it, not us not liking it. So he says, as people say this, we shut the door on the various different rooms. And in Debbie Ford's analogy, she says, one day you wake up and you're a 2-bed semi. And it struck me at the time, so I wanted to include that. This is us. Empowered Emergence is us ripping off those dust sheets. It's having the courage to enter a room that we haven't been in for a long time, and having a look around and seeing who we are. And this is the emergence of the blueprint. This is the emergence of us. All these things that we've been told, these statements that we play like a little recorder or recording in our mind that we repeat. The crucial first 7 to 8 years of our life, we're like sponges. Again, I talk about this in the A to Z. We're like sponges. We take on everything we're told, and we take on everything we see. We take on those statements we hear, and they might not be true. They are people repeating what they heard in their childhood. They're people who were hypnotized during that time and are replaying and recreating the scenarios that they experienced, they saw, they witnessed, and they felt. And you can go back, and as I say, we're all vibrations. We vibrate at our own unique, like our thumbprint is unique. We have our own unique vibration. Just as the universe has its own unique vibration, Earth has its own unique vibration. This is about challenging those things we heard. This is not about replicating now and playing out. Some of that playing out can be helpful because you can look at it with adult eyes now and see situations. And as you replay them, you can see perhaps where you were misguided, where someone's thoughts or words in their time of stress, you've taken then on the same thing and you're going to repeat those patterns. And the path of sovereign integration is challenging that, it's changing it. It's reframing everything. It's looking at those core wounds of abandonment, shame and betrayal and seeing whether they belong to you or whether that's something that's been handed down. And with other stages, before and after, this is working with the nervous system, healing, challenging, understanding and listening. This is stepping into the blueprint or stepping out of the blueprint. This is a choice. As always, I'm sending you loads and loads of love until next time.